This is Dave with Fry and Bacon Studios and another Gamesalad tutorial. In this video, I'm going to show you the new loop behavior available in the nightly builds for pro users. Basically what I've done here is I've built a power meter scenario. Similar to those that you've seen in golf sports games, where you press it and the power starts to climb. And then when you press it again, it locks in that value and transfers it over to your physics system and powers the object. So let's go ahead and take a look. So when I press this gray actor, the power bar is going to start to climb. When I press it again, it's going to store the value or stop the value and then transfer it into my catapult and launch this object. Let's do that again. Let's do it quicker. And let's do it one more time, and we'll put a longer time in between it. Works great. Let's go ahead and take a look what I've done here. Let's go look at a couple of game level attributes that I created to start things off. I've got two attributes here. One's a real attribute, which I'm using to store the power value or my accelerate value. I used a real attribute because I wanted some decimal places to give it variety. I'm also using an integer that I'm calling launch. In this one, I'm using this as a switch and changing the condition of the number to tell it when to start the meter, when to stop it, and then when to launch. So let's go ahead first into our launch switch. Basically, I've got a rule that says when touch is pressed and the attribute game.launch is less than or equal to 1, change attribute game.launch to game.launch plus 1. So what will happen is when I press it, it starts at 0. When I press it, it'll change to plus 1. And when I press it again, it'll change to 2. This will stop it from adding any more because now game.launch is greater than 1. So now that we've seen that, let's go into our catapult. In our catapult, I have a basic rule here. And it says when game.launch equals 2, go ahead and move to your fixed position. And the speed I've attached to the steam power real attribute. This is where the move to behavior is going to get how much power it needs to generate. Now let's go over to our power meter. Now basically what I've done is use the same constraint system that we use in the health bar. As we know, all this stuff is just coding. Doesn't matter exactly what you're building, power meter or health bar or whatever. It's all about constraining attributes and sizes in Gamesalad. You can see videos on that in other places. What we're going to look at specifically in here is the new loop behavior. So I set up this loop to go while all conditions are valid, loop. Now what a loop does is it cycles or fires rules or conditions every code cycle, and it'll keep firing them until one of these attributes don't meet that condition anymore. And you can change it to until, and you can use any or all like in a rule. So basically I've attached an attribute inside the loop area that says if game.steamPower is less than 600, then continue to loop. 600 is my max. I don't want it to go any higher than that because I don't need any more velocity than that to reach the edge of the screen. This will keep my meter from keeping growing and stop it there. Now inside this loop behavior, I've added a rule. And I said when attribute game.launch equals 1, which is when we first press it, change the attribute game.steamPower to game.steamPower plus 10. So basically every code cycle, it'll add plus 10 to that number. And it'll keep looping until either the 600 is reached or this is changed from 1 to another number, which I'm doing to 2 for the launch. We used to use this or do this with 0 timers, which really isn't the way to do it. With this behavior, we get a solid cycle, and you can adjust this number just based on how much time you want it to take to grow or shrink, depending on the difficulty you want, and how much power you want, and how fast you want it to accumulate. This makes it so much easier to do these kinds of things in Gamesalad, where this would have taken a lot more code and probably the use of a 0 timer to do something like this. As we know, rules only fire when an attribute changes or a condition changes. It doesn't allow it to keep looping like this behavior does. This is an awesome new addition, and it's going to open up new things that we're going to be able to do in Gamesalad and make your coding even more quicker and more efficient, because you don't have to create so many outside rules and different conditions and self-attributes to do something simple like counting up. This is Dave with Fry and Bacon Studios. I'll see you in the next video.